Welcome back to the Rooted Soul podcast series. I'm your host, Jamila, certified holistic energy healer, licensed professional counselor, owner of Rooted Soul, which is a holistic healing service centered around the healing of the Afro diaspora. If you would like to learn more about our services and what we do, check out our website at www.rootedsoul.net. So today's episode of the Rooted Soul podcast series is the Emperor. And the Emperor is associated with the number 4. And so when you think about the number 4, think about a wrestleness, a struggle, right? To accomplish whatever it is you're setting out to accomplish. It's like that blood, sweat, and tears, right? Like that work that you got to put into something for something to happen. That's that number 4, right? And so that's the Emperor's energy. And as I was getting ready for this podcast episode, I was thinking about my own journey with the Emperor energy and how it is an energy that I wrestle with and struggle with. Learning how and growing into my Emperor energy and harnessing it and being bold enough to allow all of that to be seen in me or experienced in me. And sometimes I wonder if my struggles with the Emperor energy is centered around the fact that I am a Black woman, that I am a female, and that I live in a society structure that wants me to be a certain way in my femininity, right? And doesn't allow space for the balance of the feminine and the masculine. And if I was in a male body, would I have the same struggle? But I guess if I was in a male body, then the other struggle would be the Empress energy. So, that's our journey. So anyway, the Emperor energy. So the description of the Emperor energy is determined, fiery, a surety, that sureness that you have in your goals are clear. There's just clarity in the way that you're moving in life. And so there's the surety behind it. You're action oriented, a strong sense of purpose, strategic, foresight, royal, pride. And when I say pride, I don't mean it in a negative way. Every word has its balance and unbalance, right? And extreme ends of the spectrum. So when I say pride, I mean a sense of knowing oneself, knowing all of oneself, right? And radically accepting all of that. And so that's taking my sun side and my shadow side, right? And I'm aware of both. And that knowing of self, knowing where I come from, knowing the power that lies within me, I walk in this sense of pride. So that's what I'm referring to. Energy of leadership and masculinity energy. And I've talked about this in my previous episodes that we all come here with feminine and masculine energies. We just live in a society that one might say because of colonization, right? Well, I would say because of colonization, that people of color, people of African descent, we have forgotten that we always lived in that balance, right? Of the feminine and masculine. We have both energies within us. And coming into wholeness is learning how to balance and work in ease of moving between the two and being in the two. And so the Emperor energy is the masculinity energy. So some descriptions if the energy is blocked within you are low within you, for lack of a better word. So conniving, you find yourself conniving to get what you want. And because you find yourself having to connive to get what you want, and that comes from the conniving comes from the lack of surety, the lack of I guess that pride word, how I was defining it, that you are capable to say and to move in your truth, right? To accomplish whatever it is you're setting out to accomplish. Because that's not there, you feel like you have to connive to get it, right? And so, because of that, one of the other characteristics that can happen, or descriptions that can happen, is this rage, right? Or if you ever come across someone that just always seem like they're angry, like it seems like they just sit in anger, in a pot of anger all the time. And that's really what's underneath that, is the fear and sometimes shame, right? Because I know that I want to live in my full truth. I want to move in my full truth, right? I want to move in this surety and this pride in myself, but I am struggling with it, or I don't know how, or I feel so disconnected to it. And so I have all this rage and anger because of the way that I am moving. So, really, underneath that is really fear and sometimes, like I said, shame. Some other descriptions are stubbornness, the unbalancedness of proudness, which could come off like arrogance and narcissism, right? Um, Again, back to that fear and that shame, can play a role in that. A lost sense of purpose, and that lost sense of purpose can play out looking like the scattered energy. It's just like you have a you struggle with being able to kind of uh, put together a plan, whether on paper or just in your head, where you can put it in some order, balance, and harmony of like a plan to execute your goals, your aspirations, your visions, your dreams. Um, and so you struggle with that. And so, because of that, another description or characteristic that can come or appear from a block energy of the emperor is like, so you're always feeling like you have this need to prove yourself. So these are some of the descriptions if this energy is blocked in you, or low in you, or weak in you. And later on, we'll talk about ways to strengthen that energy in you, or restore the energy within you, or return to the energy within you. So the zodiac correspondent with the Emperor energy is Aries. Aries is a cardinal sign, and Aries is the sign of royalty. Cardinal representing royalty, representing activation. It activates, right? Back to when I was describing the energy of the emperor, someone who knows how to take action, right? How to they're very action oriented. The planet correspondent with the emperor energy is Mars, and as we know, Mars is a planet energy of action. But Mars is also a planet energy, back to when we were talking about that number four, and how that number four is an energy that you may have to wrestle with. Like it's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, right? Because the planets can be divided into benevolent and maleficent. And this is not meaning good and bad, or right or wrong. That's not what it's about. It's just there's some planet energies that you're going to have to work for, right? You're going to have to put in a lot of work, versus there's some other planets where there's more fortune that's connected with it, right? So things can open up a little bit more easier. So Mars is the planet that has that energy, that maleficent energy, where you're going to have to put in a little bit more work and effort to birth or create, or to manifest whatever it is that you're trying to manifest. So That's the planet correspondent. The element correspondent is fire. And we know that fire represents refining, fire represents purity, fire represents transformation, right? And so that fire, right, is it's what allows us to activate, is what allows us to move in that energy descriptions of the emperor. And so the alchemy practice that is happening um, are well, the alchemy practice that is happening. So first, let's do that, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the alchemy work that would need to be done if this practice is not working smoothly in you, which goes back to those descriptions I was sharing around blockage. And so if you recognize any of those blockages in you, then there is somewhere there's a misalignment with the alchemy practice that is occurring. And so the alchemy work that's occurring is fire is a chemical reaction, right? And so in order to activate fire, you need air. And so part of the alchemy is air activating the fire so that you can act, right? But at the same time, the emperor is balancing the water in them, right? This the high priestess in them, which we talked about in another episode, episode 2. And in episode 1, we talked about air with the musician. But anyway, it's that air which chemically activates the fire, right? So that you can act and move while balancing the water, which is your lower and higher emotions, right? So, and I talk a little bit more about that in episode 2, but your higher emotions, that seat of intuition, that inner knowing, that deep knowing, right? But also the lower emotions that deal more with what's with our senses, right? But being able to balance those emotions while manifesting or making shit happen on earth, right? That's the alchemy that's going on. So we got air activating the fire, we got the balancing of our water, right? And we have our ability to be grounded in self so that we are able to move in our royalty and our surety on earth. So that's the alchemy practice that's happening. So some root work, if you find that you are struggling in any of those areas, right, and that you are noticing some misalignment from the descriptions I was giving of the emperor energy, some root work that can be done is, well, the first one is ancestral work. I think that particularly for Black women, I mean, this is just ancestral work should be something we should be doing just period. Okay. But ancestral work in particular to this energy, I think is very valuable because we come from a matriarchic line and but we live in a society that is very patriarch. And so a lot of us, because of family of origins and just institutions that we went to school in, we were told to stuff that emperor energy in us down. And so ancestral work is work that can help to reconnect you to that energy, right? So some ways that you can reconnect with some ways that you can do ancestral work. One way is creating an ancestral altar and sitting at that altar. Another way is speaking with family members, right, and learning more about your matriarchic line and the history of those who have passed on, um, and even your contemporary ancestors. So not just people from your family line, but other um, women that resonate with you that have gone on and learning more about them. So whether through watching videos, right, documentaries, reading books, these are some ways to do some ancestral work. I also want to mention movement that can be done to help ignite and resurrect or return back to the Emperor energy, and that's Vinyasa yoga. Vinyasa yoga is a good one because the level of action that's being done. It's not like Yin yoga, restorative, which is a little slower and calmer. Like this one, you're going to sweat a little more, right? Think about the warrior pose or warrior one pose, warrior two. Like these warrior poses, like it's a movement. Vinyasa yoga is a movement that can help to um, reunite with the emperor energy. Now, some herbs that can be beneficial: sage, garlic, cayenne, rosemary, and these are all herbs that you can cook with, right? But they're also some of well, sage is one that you could also for smudging. You can buy the dry sage and smudge to clear the air, and you can also, make a tea with sage as well. Rosemary, I don't know if you can make a tea with rose, but I do know that I think you can get rosemary oil, but I'm not sure about that. All right, so with every ending of an episode, I always want to leave you with an affirmation alignment that can help to channel this energy within you. And so the affirmation alignment that I want to leave you with is: I am my own authority. I'm going to say that again. I am my own authority. And so this is something you can create ritual around morning, noon, or night. If this emperor energy is one that you recognize that is weak within you or absent within you, and you want to learn how to channel it and be in communion with it, that is an affirmation that you can add to your whatever your self-care ritual may be. So I want to thank you for taking the time again to listen to my podcast series. If you are someone that, as you've been listening, or this is your first time listening, and you're like, you know what, I have some blockage and I need support to help unblock it. As I mentioned before, I am a holistic energy healer, licensed professional counselor, and you can check out our website to learn more about our services. And if they seem like something that aligns with you, reach out and I can be of support in helping you on your healing journey. Okay, until next time, see you. Bye bye.